I'm a nerd, but this is my favorite part of the interview process. Some people hate it, but I have spent years researching and studying to understand the hacks of an amazing resume. I even hired a graphic designer off Upwork, a freelance platform, to help design a resume that would be completely differentiated. Safe to say, it worked. So why is your resume so important? Simple. Talk is cheap. If I ask someone how attentive to detail you are and they claim they are meticulous, yet their resume looks awful, I'm not going to believe their claim. A resume and your actions during an interview says everything about you. In my experience as a district manager, in 6 seconds, I can tell how organized, attentive to detail, and unique a person is just by looking at how they present themselves with this sheet of paper. A lot is communicated on a simple document, and I want you to have the best resume to leave a lasting impression that opens doors and tees up opportunities to show your value. Quick story, I geek out on marketing and psychology, hence why I built a custom resume I knew would be 10 times better than anything a hiring manager has ever seen. All 3 times I was promoted, I networked internally with my resume attached in the beginning email and would have teams competing for me before the discovery calls even started. The professionalism communicated with a well-prepared document not only got me more calls with more important decision makers, but got people excited for conversations because they knew they were getting on a call with a serious candidate who presents themselves professionally. Plus, it sets positive energy heading into a call, which is a huge bonus. Let's start building a professional resume that helps you stay differentiated, because why fit in when you can stand out? I want you to close your eyes and pretend like you are a hiring manager. You are constantly interviewing, reviewing applications, and vetting candidates to find the right fit. It's a normal day, it's overwhelming, and you have hundreds of resumes to review. You have limited time, so you need to be quick. You flip through hundreds of resumes, giving them a quick look until one grabs your attention. You stop, give it a glance, and put it in the yes pile. What does that resume look like? Let's talk about it. What does a yes look like from a visual perspective? I will not give you the answer, but I will teach you how to think about your approach to building a show-stopping resume. For me, I think critically about this question when trying to get the attention, aka market myself, for a dream role. In order to build something that stands out, I think of what similarities 99% of resumes have, and then make something different yet professional that gets hiring managers to stop and put me in the yes pile. Now, what do 99% of resumes look like? Well, they're boring, visually unappealing, black and white, hard to navigate important information, sometimes 2 pages, visually intimidating with words. So in the sake of standing out, let's do the exact opposite. Let's have a clean design, color, not a ton, but enough to stand out. Easy to navigate, 1 page, visually inviting. I can give you all the tips and frameworks, which I will, but I want you to understand marketing fundamentals behind building authority with a powerful resume, so hiring managers will stop and look at your actual experience. A hiring manager will look at your resume for 6 to 7 seconds, so we need to grab attention with a visual pattern interrupt. For all my visual learners out there, let's review the visuals of a bad versus a great resume. Here's a bad resume. It comes across your desk. It's dull, bland, lots of white space, a little long, and looks like it may have been typed out in 5 minutes. There's a lot of different fonts, the structure seems off, looks like it's an edited version with parentheses at the top near their name with how it's saved. It's not visually appealing, and I really see no reason to continue being interested in this candidate. There is nothing differentiated. For the sake of protecting my time, I'm putting this into the no pile. Now we have resume number 2 come across your desk. This one's piqued your interest. It's structured nicely. It's different. It's visually appealing. It's simple design, clean format, and easily digestible. This candidate seems like they spent a lot of time and energy putting this together, so they must be very serious about this job. They've piqued my interest, so let's take time to get to know them. I had so many people DM me when I was a district manager at Dell asking for my time. If they sent me their resume and it looked like they have spent 0 time polishing it up, I wouldn't take a call. When you're busy, like I am, you always operate out of a place of mitigating risk you are making a bad decision. And failure to put together a good resume indicates to me that the person hasn't thoughtfully prepared for an interview, thus making me think I am going to waste 30 minutes of my valuable time by taking time to do a meeting with them. Nowadays, I give people grace and send them a resume template and say, hey, if you're serious, restructure your resume, and once it's in a better state, send it back and I can carve out a few minutes for you. Humans are visual creatures, and by grabbing the attention of a hiring manager, you're already establishing a quick first win, which is what great marketers do when selling themselves. Now that we have a first win with a visual appealing resume, let's go for another. So we grab the attention of a hiring manager. Now we need to show the hiring manager that their attention was worth grabbing. Step 1, the hiring manager will look at the top of the resume and see if they recognize your name. Your uncle is the VP of sales. They might recognize that immediately and put you to the final round. Just kidding, but the hiring managers will look to double click into seeing who you are. You can't control if they know you unless it's a referral, which we'll talk about later. But next, their eyes will go to the bottom of your resume. And this is an opportunity to be human. And most importantly, showcase your personality. Give them a reason to stop and be interested in learning more about you. Bonus, a copywriting trick. A lot of people get into the rhythm of fitting in and making their writing seem robotic. Small tweaks in your writing, like at the bottom of a resume, are prime opportunities with little to no risk of showcasing you are not a robot, but a real human behind the resume. And because another human is reviewing this, especially if through networking, it gives them a basis to build a perspective on, more than technical skills to do the job. People want to work with people they know, like, and trust, not just people who can do the job. If you look at the bottom of my resume, you can see there are hobbies listed. Yes, hobbies. Things that make me human, not just a piece of paper flexing my ability to be Microsoft proficient and more. Most people put technical skills like Salesforce, CRM, Microsoft, Office, etc., which is totally fine to put on your resume in some capacity, but not at the bottom where a hiring manager is looking secondly. Use this prime real estate to differentiate and subtly market yourself to do what the best marketing does: invoke curiosity. Believe it or not, I have been asked about my hobbies in almost every interview I've been in, and I've had it at the bottom of my resume. Job hunting is heavily relationship-based, so it opens up dialogue to who you are as a person and allows an opportunity for you to connect with the hiring manager outside of metrics and other key areas. It's hard to turn a human into a commodity. Showcasing your uniqueness is a superpower because there is only one of you, so there will never be a price word at the bottom unless they figure out a way to clone you. As a real life example for someone I coached, they put a private chef on the bottom of their resume under hobbies. She was a private chef, and although it didn't relate to the job she was going for at all, the people interviewing her brought it up and at the start of the interview and asked her all about it. It led to a fun conversation that led to building a relationship more than, can you do the job? When she received the offer from the company, an industry leader with hundreds of applications, she asked the hiring manager why they went with her. They said it was close, but when discussing who they wanted to work with on a daily basis, they pictured her as a good culture fit for the team given her unique hobbies. I always tell people, if you're in a tight interview process where it's a 50-50 split between the best person to do the job, the hiring manager is going to go with the candidate they feel will be a fun member to have on the team and add to the culture. Trust me, I've been in these discussions. Next, hiring managers will look at the middle of your resume to see if they recognize any companies you have worked for. If you've worked for a big organization, it will draw interest. For most of us, that might not be the case, so don't worry. I will teach you how to write out your role perfectly and give a solid description so hiring managers have 100% certainty for all of your experience. If you are in college or a recent college graduate, companies know you don't have much experience. What you're really doing is showcasing your ability to put together a professional document with correct spelling and your passion and the ability to be coachable to learn the role they're going to give you. You might not have the big name company yet, but you will soon. Lastly, if they see a project, education, or similar experience they can relate to, they will spend more time reviewing and reading what you accomplished. Reviewing your resume is a quick process, so we want to make sure you stand out in the first minute they lay eyes on it. After all, this is just a screening process to set you up for a screening call. My goal is to help you market yourself, communicate professionalism, show differentiation, and crush that call to get you an offer. Now that we know how to create a visual appealing resume and how a hiring manager will look at it, let's talk about the words on your resume. After all, those are important, right? In the spirit of helping you stand out, let's have better copy than anyone else. A good resume is like a white paper. For those of you who don't know what a white paper is, It's typically a PDF or worksheet in business that describes a product in detail. The best white papers are simple and easy to navigate and give you all the key points in a concise manner. Bonus: value is relative. Example: you might think you're sending a CEO everything he needs to know by sending over a 30-paragraph email attaching multiple worksheets with every detail about your company. In reality, given his role, responsibilities, and time commitments, it's not valuable for him to invest time into reading something that long. Short, concise emails are more valuable to CEOs. A more valuable email would be 2 sentences max. More isn't always better, so value is relative to the other person reading it. Another example, a goal of a great marketer is to establish as many quick wins as possible to build trust with their audience. If you sign up for something that teaches you how to land your dream role, most people don't just want to be rewarded when they land a job. That could take a while. You actually want to establish quick wins with your audience to build trust and keep trust while you're working towards the larger deliverable, landing the job. So a first win may be teaching someone how to make a visually appealing resume, then teaching them the structure, then teaching them the copy, and so on. Your resume should be the same. I want it to be easy to answer who you are in the shortest time possible, so the hiring manager is doing less work and gets a quick win on who you are without giving them a headache or causing them stress. I design my resume in a way that takes the burden off the hiring managers to make life simple for them and not be like the other candidates who have a dull, boring, impossible to navigate resume where it becomes a chore for the hiring manager to extract any meaningful information and may even leave a bad taste in their mouth with how long it took to extract key points. A confused audience doesn't take action, so make things easy. That's what the best people do when they sell themselves. Let's dive into the copy of your resume. First, create a brief description on top to explain who you are. First win. Good copy has a hook, story, and strong ending, and let me give you an example. Crazy fun start to my career. Hook. I started at the University of Arizona before transferring to the University of Kansas and starting my own personal training business and graduating with a 3.77 GPA and tons of real-world experience through changing people's lives. Story. I'm excited to take my passion for sales and join an industry leader to accelerate their growth. Strong ending. Notice a few things. A good hook, a quick backstory that blends credibility on my last few years, GPA and work experience, and how that passion translates to the role I'm applying for. This isn't rocket science, but keep it simple. A question I always get, but I want to tell them everything about me. How can I communicate that? Answer, you don't. You're looking at it from the wrong frame. The utility of your copy on top is to invoke curiosity, not give an entire novel. Curiosity draws people to want to know more about you. And if they are hooked, they'll be more interested in learning more about you. We also have more real estate on a cover letter to fill in the gaps, so don't worry if you're dying to share details. If you are unsure how to start, use AI as a first, bad draft, never as a final, for your about section. It may take time to get good at copy, but if you use the system of hook, story, and strong ending to make a quick blurb on who you are, it will be extremely effective. Once it's done, you have another win, and we can move on to the next part. Next win, have your jobs listed chronologically, from most recent on the top to least recent on the bottom. My most current job is at the top of my resume, followed by older jobs going down. Use the correct past and present tense based on if you are currently working the role or if you have previously worked it. So as you write this out, an example is have your current role, have the name of the role, location, and then dates worked in that role. Have 3 or 4 roles max. If you find yourself digging in the past for jobs that don't have any relation to the job you're applying for, stop with your most recent jobs and expand your current bullet points with good data, which we will talk about soon. More often than not, the depth of experience you get in a role is more valuable than showing you had 6 jobs with very little data on them. And it could also communicate that you are a job hopper and you have too many jobs listed. Unless the role you're applying to is job hopping. Again, value is relative. Dad joke. If you don't have 3 to 4 professional experiences, bring in volunteer work projects or elaborate on school or athletics with detailed bullet points. Next, give a short description of each role you worked, taking the burden off the hiring manager to figure out what you did, giving them another quick win, and less guesswork to have to Google fancy role names of what you worked. Example, for my role as an emerging technology specialist, a sales development rep, I accelerated growth with mid-market, commercial, and enterprise account teams. Within seconds, a hiring manager will understand what I did in that role and appreciate that I made it simple and not confusing for them. I like having a sentence under my role and before my bullet points to make it obvious for the work I did. Hack: keep your copy third grade reading level. I used to fall into the trap of peppering up my resume with complex words to show how smart I am, especially when I was just starting. I realized complex words create confusion, so now I keep it simple. I use the pub test to reread all my sentences and challenge myself. Would I say this out loud to a friend in a pub? If not, I change it to make it simple. Now with our resume, visuals, check. Structure, check. Chronological, check. Name of role, check. Short description of role, check. Now next, a great resume is outcome-oriented with data. Quantify, quantify, quantify. Metrics are difficult to uncover when going for a role. When looking at a sales role specifically, metrics are everything. Example: understanding the evergreen values of a good sales rep or having a high motor and outcome oriented, it's good to show that you can produce results. Results need to be quantified. Most people struggle to do this and it kills their credibility when showcasing their value in any interview. So here are 3 hacks to find metrics regardless of your experience. Length metrics. How long did you work on X? How fast did you complete X activity? Context metrics. How much faster are your results than the typical? How do you stack rank against your peers in your results? Results metrics. How much time did you save? Money, resources. How are these better than the status quo? Quantification makes a bullet point great because it backs your claims with data, which gives you a competitive advantage over someone who is claiming they did something without showing the outcomes of what they produce and how those results stack rank against the status quo. Details are your best friend. It also takes the burden off hiring managers to understand what you did because you are giving them the answers to what's on their mind. Example: I had someone tell me they received the fastest promotion their manager has ever seen. My response was cool. What he failed to communicate is his manager had been there for 12 years, and without that additional context, his bullet point was weaker than it could have been. Context will take a result from good to great. Next, start bullet points with action verbs. Try to use different verbs for each bullet point and not repeat consecutively. Some example verbs: responsible, led, spearheaded, attained, scaled, exceeded, partnered, planted, collaborated, the list goes on. Some example bullet points: converted 6 enterprise and commercial accounts, identifying customer pain points and crafting a compelling story around Dell EMC's value. Effectively handled customer objections, questions, complaints in a fast-paced environment and communicated complex information about data center technology in an understandable way. Manage up to 6 concurrent construction projects, collaborating with cross-functional teams across design, sales, and more to complete projects. Presented creative solutions to contracted workers for site-specific problems. Don't be afraid to use Google for lists of hundreds of action verbs to get the creative juice flowing. Make sure you're using the correct past and present tense depending on if you're currently working that job or not. Notice I said that twice now, so double check. Lastly, make it 1 page, no longer. There is never a need for 2 pages, especially when the goal is to invoke curiosity and establish quick wins. It is an art to consolidate experience into 1 page, and typically with less copy and more experience, it draws more curiosity and opens up room for more conversation. A friendly reminder: make sure to spell check. I put all my copy through AI to check for spelling or have a third-party plugin on my internet browser like Grammarly, not a paid sponsorship, to make sure everything is spelled right. I want everything looking pristine so there's no doubt in the hiring manager's mind that you don't just talk the talk, but you walk the walk with your attention to detail. Well, I have a resume template and I encourage you to use them considering how much time and attention I have put into crafting. Seriously, I have had people land competitive interviews just from this alone. This will one day be diluted and not help you differentiate yourself. If you want to go off and build one on your own and don't use our templates, here are some riverbanks to the river so you don't fall into fatal mistakes when crafting your resume to differentiate yourself. Now, a few options. Download any of ours, and if you do, feel free to change the colors to present yourself. Buy one off Etsy, build one off Canva, hire a designer off Upwork or Fiverr like I did for $10 or $30. Now here are some mistakes to look out for as you build your own template. Putting a bar that rates your ability to do a task. It's subjective and everyone is going to rate themselves at a high level. It's weird to rate yourself, so please don't do it. Starting sentences with I, my, and different pronouns. Always start with verbs in either the past or present tense for each bullet point in your experience. Using the same action verb multiple bullet points in a row is a no-go. Having different types of fonts throughout. Keep your fonts consistent. Not having two people proofread before sending out. The best copy takes a day or two to rest, so if you can look at it with a fresh set of eyes, you'll be better off. If you're in a rush, share it with someone you trust who can be those fresh set of eyes for you. I always give myself a 24-hour break before looking at a completed document so I can look at it with that fresh set of eyes. Next, sending your resume as an editable document. Do not do it. Save it as a PDF. Makes life easier for everyone and prevents bad actors from editing it. Next, saving your resume incorrectly. Just save it as your name, not resume with your full name, number 17, as an editable version of something random. People will see what you named your document when you upload or email it, so pay attention to the small details to keep it professional. The details build your professional brand, and we are just getting started. Wait till we stack on the rest of the operating system. Now that you know what hiring managers look for in a resume, let's build yours. Bonus resume hack. All creativity is done by a thinking mind. One of my friends was going for a job in the crypto space with a large NFT company and creatively sent an NFT through the blockchain containing his portfolio to get the attention of a hiring manager he wanted time with. It worked and it grabbed his attention. He got the interview and ended up getting the job. I'm not saying not to do a resume because clearly 99% of jobs require one, but when you are marketing yourself, you are in the business of grabbing the attention, and that can be done in a variety of ways. A successful marketing strategy will do that, so don't be afraid to think outside the box like my friend here. Whichever route you choose, your resume needs to showcase your style and uniqueness. Use a template that you are passionate about and that you love. But don't buy one yet. Watch the video on cover letters before you start, and you'll see why soon.